All right, so paying off your debt is supposed to be a good thing, right? And one of the reasons we pay off our debt, or one of the benefits, is we want to, one, have our money work for us, but two, another thing is we want to start building our credit or having credit so we can buy things like a home. That way we don't have to take out a lot of equity to get money. But if you're like me, or maybe this sounds like you, or maybe it's something you should be aware of, once you pay off your debt, why does your credit score go down? Or you've paid off debt and all of a sudden your credit score dropped. We're right, because that's what happened to me. Paid off my debt and my credit went down. And you're probably wondering why, right? No more debt, better utilization rate, should improve your credit, right? Well, let me jump into it and I'll show you some reasons why your credit score may have went down and what you can do to get it right back up if you've paid off your debt. And what type of debt, if you pay off, that you may want to leave on your credit. Just leave the account open, not leave the debt there. So let's jump into it. Welcome back. So you may be surprised by this because this definitely was something that caught me off guard. I'm like, I went through all this work, paid off all my debt, paid it off very quickly, and then my credit score went poof, and then my credit score just dropped tremendously. And I'm like, why? Why did this happen? So before we can do that, let me break down like the different types or what really affects your credit score. So there's several things that's gonna have a big factor in your credit score. So it's going to be whether you have a good mix of credit on your account. So say for instance, there's things like car payments or like a personal loan or student debts, where those are like installment loans. So basically like you take out amount, you have a period in which you pay them off. Those are considered installment loans. And then you have things like credit cards where, if you do have a credit card, it's best not to carry a balance every month. It's best to, if you're using it for points or whatever, which I do, which I don't have a problem with, as long as you're responsible with credit cards, pay them off every month. So that's a different type of credit. But you want to have a good mix of credit, or if you have a house on there, again, that could be considered an installment loan as well. But you want to have a good mix of credit on your account. Another thing that is affected is the age of your credit. So that's just going to be how long you've had credit established. So if you have, several credit cards on your account that you may have had, several within like a range of, 2 years, your oldest one may be like 5 years. So they're basically going to take those two cards and they're going to do an average of that. So if you had one that was 5 and then one that was 2.5 years, then your credit will come down to the average age of your credit will be 2.5 years. So they're just going to divide it by the amount of cards you have or the amount of types of debt you have, how long you've had them, and then divide that. For me, the reason I took a big hit, and you may be in the same situation, my oldest revolving credit at the time was student loans. And I've had those loans for like 10 plus years. So when I paid them off, my age of credit went from pretty good to pretty much nothing because I didn't have anything else. Once I paid off my debt, I had no age of credit. So I basically started from scratch. Well, I had like an old credit card on there, but it had like a very small limit that I didn't use. So I did keep that open just because I wanted to keep my age of credit up. But we'll dive into that later as well. We'll talk more about that. So that, and then the other thing is going to be your debt to income ratio. So how much debt you have compared to the amount of income that you have, that's going to play a factor into it. And then another thing is your credit utilization. So this is going to be primarily with credit cards. So say if you have a balance of all your credit cards together, you have a credit limit of $10,000. So what I typically try to stay within, on the high end, it's about 30%. But I try to stay within like the 10 to 20% range. So for example, if I have a $10,000 limit, I try not to have more than $1,000 spent on that. At the most would be $3,000. That will put you at the 30%. Then you want to pay that off you don't want to carry that balance until the next month. You want to pay it off within 30 days or before your statement ends. That's definitely going to help improve your credit. But you may, the reason your credit score may drop is you may have some type of loans on there, like an installment loan. Like I said, for me, example, I paid off my student loan. So that right there affected the age of my credit. That was that took a lot down of my age of credit. I went from being in a really good standing to basically barely any credit at all, just over a matter of a month from paying off, once I finished paying off all of my debt. So that's something to keep out for. Another thing is that where your credit score may be down is it may be the timing of the payment. So sometimes information is delayed from being reported. So that can affect your credit as well. So it may just be like a temporary drop where you may see it drop down a few points. So just give it, another month or so and check again just to see if it bounced back up. If that's the case, then in most cases it's going to bounce right back within another month. Another thing that may be affected is a change on your account. So maybe you had an account that was on there that was paid off, and it was dropped after 10 years. That's typically like how it goes. It's typically how long it stays on there. So you may want to go check like the status of an account. You may have an older account that you paid off that was still on the account, that was still showing on there, and then that just dropped off your credit. So that may affect it as well. So sometimes even if you have a credit card, in some cases, if that's going to be the age of history of your credit card, if that's like the highest, but you're not using that card and it's just staying idle. Some credit card companies, after a certain amount of years, they will just drop that card to close that account. So if you do have an older credit card that's helping to keep your age of history up, probably just put like a small charge on there, like something like, your gas or like a Netflix or like a Spotify or something like that, where it's just a small amount, you just pay that off. So it just shows, hey, there's activity on this account or this card, don't close it. I know not all cards do that, but some cards will do if you go inactive for a certain period of time. So you may want to check for that as well. Of course, the obvious, if you don't make a payment or you miss the payment, you get a derogatory mark on your account. That will affect your credit a lot. That is a huge mark on your account. And there's a factor that comes into another, that is if you pay your payments on time. You want to have 100% here. You want to make sure you pay your payments on time, because even just one charge, one missed payment can affect your credit score badly. So you want to make sure that you're paying your payments on time. So those are the main things that may be affecting your account. Like I said, there may be a change in the account or it may be a delayed payment that may come through. So just want to make sure that you're checking your account, give it a month, make sure there's not any new inquiries or anything that popped in your account that's out of the norm that wasn't you. Again, if you have too many inquiries or you're pulling your credit a lot to try to get loans or get money out, the bank will see that. The credit agencies will see that, and that will ding and affect your credit as well. So in conclusion, these are some ways to keep your credit score from going down and what to be aware of if you are paying off a ton of debt. Just make sure that you keep these things in mind. And also, the one thing I want to point out too, reiterate, if you have an older account or older credit card that you pay off, go ahead and keep that open. Just don't use the card. If it's, if you have a problem with using it, you don't want to run the balance back up, then don't go back in debt by having this card. By all means, if you feel like you can't handle it or you don't have the discipline to keep this card active in your account, go ahead and cancel it. But you paid off your debt. You should be pretty disciplined at this point. You've proven to yourself that you can follow a budget, that you can be disciplined. Go ahead and just have a small charge on your account. Like I said, like a small fee that comes out, like gas or haircut or whatever, something small, a day eating out or whatever, something small on your account. Maybe not eating out, maybe just keep that on your budget, but like a Netflix or something like that, just have that small charge in there, pay it off. That way you continue to keep that age of credit on your account. So in conclusion, to wrap this up, if you're following all the best practices and you're paying all your payments on time and you continue to do that, then your credit should be good. You also want to make sure, again, that nothing has popped up on your account, like a new credit inquiry, payments not being reported. Even if you made the payment on time, you want to check for those things as well. So make sure you check those. for long-term purposes, just make sure that you're following all the best practices of credit cards, making payments on time, not pulling your credit too much, having too many inquiries on the account. Don't be late with any payments. If you continue to do these practices and continue to do it over time, your credit score will improve and it will continue to go up and it will continue to be in good standings. But I wanted to make this quick video to kind of talk about what may be affecting your credit score or why it may have dropped. Don't panic if it dropped from month to month. Just give it a month, make sure everything is good with your account, make sure everything's updates, and it should pop back up. Even when my credit score did drop after I paid off my debt, after a few months, I was able to build it back up and get it right back to where it was before the debt payoff happened. And now I'm in really good standing now. It's almost jumped all the way up to almost an 800 credit score. So definitely just continue to do the practices I continue to do, continue to make sure that I monitor and keep my credit score up to speed. Also, if you want to monitor and check out, just Google. There's several apps out there. There's like Credit Karma, Credit Sesame. No, I'm not getting promoted by any of these companies, but it's just some free companies you can use. Most banks now offer it, and even some credit cards will offer where they give you a free credit score where you can just see the score every month, and they don't pull the actual report, but you can get a free report for free at least once a year, or every time you get an inquiry you can get a free credit report. But you can Google some of those as well. But in conclusion, if you guys have any questions or have any comments, if I missed anything, or if you guys had some things that happened weird with your credit that may have affected your score that I missed, please drop them in the comment below and let's continue this conversation. Also, if you have not liked this video, go ahead and like it. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. That really helps to get the word out and really helps to get more viewers and get this video in front of more eyes. So thank you all. I'll see you all on the next video.